Hi there, and welcome to our project, which is Diceability. So, our goal for our project was to make dice rolling accessible. Dice pose a few accessibility issues. They're small, they move around a lot, and they're visually dependent. There's a few workarounds for this, but in general, it is difficult for a blind or low vision person to roll dice independently. So, for our product investigation, we did an evaluation on existing applications and we found a few trends. First, users prefer the role to be the largest visual element. It's pretty self explanatory. You want to make the thing that is the main purpose of the application to be the biggest. When possible, we wanted the results of the individual die rolls to be spaced out as far as possible to avoid blurring. This goes for other elements as well, but in general, our user had lateral blurring, so we wanted to avoid this in ours. Finally, having all possible dice available at once can cause clutter and confusion. The user should be able to select which dice are available on the rolling screen, and this is to just avoid having dice that you're not going to be using visible to avoid clutter. So for our core feature requirements, first, rolls should display the sum alongside individual die results. So you can see we have on the right, the roll result is 9, and the individual die results are 3, 1, and 5. This is so specific systems, if they need to know the individual die results, they are visible and accessible for them. Uh, Next, previous roles should be viewable in a history page. This is just self-explanatory. You want to be able to go back and see a role if you've already cleared it, or some time has passed since then. And finally, roles and role collection should be saved for future use. We have this in our profiles page where you can save roles so you don't need to type them in over and over again. And you can save dice collections as well. All three of these we found with an RPG player during our evaluation. Next are our core accessibility requirements. Um, One participant reported that distinguishing dice by silhouette helped immediately identify them. In addition, another one liked distinguishing them by color. So we had both these features in here to help visually distinguish each of the individual dice. Next, precise positional inputs should be avoided in favor of non-positional gestures whenever possible. In essence, we decided to use swipes in favor of button taps when possible. We couldn't do it all with the gestures, but we tried to implement them where possible. And here is a quick demonstration of our application.
Here on our basic roller, we have different ways we can add or remove dice. So on the bottom here, you can see we can navigate between our dice by swiping left or right on the screen. If we wanted to add a single d20, we would have the d20 selected there and swipe upwards with our finger. We can add two d20 this way, and if we wanted to add a d10 onto that, for example, we would swipe upwards with that. If we wanted to subtract a d8, we could navigate there and swipe downwards. Clicking the roll button will give us the individual dice results for each of the roll groups. We have the clear button to get rid of that. In addition, if we wanted to have a large amount of dice, instead of swiping upwards, if we wanted 10d6, for example, instead of swiping upwards 10 times, using two fingers to swipe upwards will add 5. So we can roll 10d6 that way. We can see we have our history tab here, and you can see the 2 rolls we have made so far. We also have our profiles tab, where a user can have multiple saved roles if they don't want to have to type in the same formula multiple times, and they can also change the name of the profile here. In addition, you can change the types of dice that you have for this profile to kind of minimize the amount that you have on screen at one time. If you're playing a system that doesn't use d20s, for example, then you could unselect that and clear up space on your actual page. You can see we do not have the d20 here.
Beyond the scope of this class, we had a couple requirements that we thought would be interesting to implement in the future. First is an automatic role announcer that would remove the need for accessibility tools for finding the die result. Second are settings for our accessibility features that would allow for the user to cater more to their specific needs. And finally is just a web version. One of our participants preferred using a laptop compared to a mobile phone, so having the option to choose between them might be a interesting future direction. Okay, thank you.